Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the start of a new trip, of a long trip. We'll talk more about that later. And welcome to the mountains above Boise, Idaho. In fact, you can even see Boise, the capital and largest city in Idaho. Right there, that's downtown, right in the middle. And locals, by the way, do say Boise and not Boise, in case you're wondering. We're starting off the trip and this day with a pretty long hike. It's about 4 or 5 miles each way, I think. And in this video, in addition to this really cool hike/adventure that we're going to be doing, I'm going to be talking about Boise itself, comparing it to some other places. I think I'll compare it to Salt Lake and Denver, so stick around if you're interested in hearing that. But for now, let's just enjoy the beautiful morning and enjoy this hike. All right, guys, we made it to our primary destination of the morning. This thing is called Stack Rock, which I guess makes sense. It's kind of a stack of rocks. We are gonna climb this, and it took me 1 hour, 37 minutes. It was 4.61 miles to get here with 476 feet of elevation gain. This is kind of the primary thing in this part of the forest here. This main trail that I've been following is called the Stack Rock Trail. The trailhead was the Stack Rock Trailhead, and so a lot of people come out this way. This is a very popular hike, but most people don't actually climb the thing. They just come here to get a look at it. So the route starts by going across this slab right here, and then we're aiming for this boulder right here. We'll go, I think, left of the boulder, and then I think up this little chimney right here, and then up and over somehow up to the top. And sorry for this, I don't know if you guys can see this. I think you probably can. There's a dot in the picture right here. I need to clean the sensor of this camera apparently. But before we saddle up and start climbing this thing, I think I'm ready for a snack, and I figured that while I get my food out here and rest a little bit before tackling the climb, I should talk about this trip and what we're doing on this trip as a whole. So I left home yesterday. My home is in southwestern Wyoming, and I drove about 7 or 8 hours to this area, to the Boise area. I camped on some BLM land kind of south of Boise last night at a campsite that I've stayed at before, kind of near some power lines. Pretty good site. Well, okay site. Tons of trash, tons and tons of trash from people shooting out there. That's an unfortunate reality in that area in particular. And then I got up at 6 this morning and drove here, or drove to the trailhead. And the trailhead is only, well, I'll talk more about that later. The trailhead's only half an hour from Boise. That's pretty cool, pretty close to town. But this trip is a Pacific Northwest trip and possibly beyond. So this is a 3-week-long SUV camping trip. I have the RAV4 on this trip, and I'm going to be camping in the RAV4. And the plan is to spend a few videos in Idaho, and then go into Washington and Oregon and Northern California, possibly into Canada. We'll see what the weather is doing. But yeah, that's the plan. Should be 3 weeks or a month. Longest trip of the year, and you'll be seeing these videos for the next few months on the channel. So get cozy, get comfortable, and I think this is going to be an awesome trip. I'm excited about it. Okie doke. I'm now well fed and watered. Let's do this. Let me start the stopwatch on my watch here so we can see how long this takes. So first of all, we're going onto this slab right here. So it goes without saying that this is probably not for the faint of heart. You probably want to be pretty familiar with climbing and scrambling before you do something like this. Cool little pockmarks, little holes in the rock caused by erosion. There's still some water in there. I think it snowed or it rained yesterday or the day before. Wow. This is so cool. Not too bad. Again, not especially difficult, but you want to have a good head on your shoulders for heights. Okay, I think up this little V-cleft chimney now. I think I can, I don't know if it really matters, but this to the right looks a little bit easier, but I'll need to take my backpack off. And squeeze through here. Okay, good. And from here, I think down and to the left. Down climb a little bit. Climb back up. Yes, okay, good. This is so cool. Wow. This is fun. This is, you know, I often say that things like this are kind of like a puzzle that you have to figure out. I feel like this one is like that more than most. Lots of little twists and turns. Okay, I don't know if this is the way most people go, but I think this works. Okay, I can basically, gotta watch my step here. I can basically see the crux, the hardest part right there. It's like a 1 or 2 move, little climbing section right there. I recognize it from pictures, I think. And I think to get there, I go up this part, but first I'm gonna launch the drone. Okay guys, I'm now recording on the drone. Wave to the drone. Okay, let's do this. Let's get to the base of the last little climbing section. Okay, and as I said, this apparently is the crux. I saw people online give various difficulty ratings for this. I saw one person say that this was just a 4th class move. Then I saw someone say that this was a 5/8 rock climb. If you're into climbing, you'll know what that means. So it's either just a little bit of nothingness, or it's a proper rock climbing move. It feels more like a proper rock climbing move to me. There we go. Yeah, I think that's more like 5/8 than 4th class. Yes, I'm not at the top yet, but I think that was the You know, that was the main thing we have to conquer here. Let's climb up to the little summit. Let's bag the summit here, and then we'll celebrate. I know that some people prefer to have ropes on this climb, and I wouldn't blame you if that's the case. Okay, guys, we we did it. We did it. I hope the drone is still recording. Wow, what a cool little adventure. As I pan around and show you the view, I've got to watch my step here. We have a little ammo can that is serving as a summit register that you can see right there. We'll go sign that in a minute. First, I wanted to show you the way that I came up. I started at this kind of flat, sandy spot right here, and then crossed this ridge right here, and then up and up and up. And the trail started over here, so I made my way for 5 miles through this pretty country. And this is looking over toward downtown Boise. Apparently you can see Stack Rock from downtown, but I can't quite make out the buildings of downtown in here. I think they're like right here somewhere, but with the naked eye and with the little screen, I think that's downtown? I don't know. You guys will be able to tell better when you watch this on your phones or TVs, if that is downtown or not, but I think that's the direction of downtown. And then this is looking out toward Nampa, which is kind of the neighboring city. And it's pretty hazy out here. I don't know if this is, and again, sorry for this annoying little dot. I'll try to clean that up when I get back to the car. I don't know if this is from wildfires. I'm guessing it is, because there are some pretty devastating wildfires in central Utah. We're in central Idaho. We're in sort of southwestern Idaho right now, but over in this direction, toward McCall and Stanley, there's some big, big fires. And then this right here is Bogus Basin. This is the local ski resort to Boise. I think it's like 40 minutes from town. Then we just have the forest. Okay, let's see what's in here. There's not really a good flat space that I can film from. Maybe if I move the backpack like that, yeah, that should work. Okay, there's the usual, just like detritus, just junk that you often find in summit registers. There's like a thing of Zip Fizz healthy energy mix, and got lots of like business cards and, you know, bottle caps. And what is this thing? This is a tire lever for a mountain bike. By the way, this is a popular mountain biking area. This trail system that I've been on, been seeing a ton of mountain biking. Got I think this is a Wonder Woman glove and a pack of Trident gum. I don't know if any of these summit registers are actually signable. Like this one is full. There's not really any room to sign in that one, and there's just random pieces of paper. So I guess I'm not gonna sign it, and this video is gonna have to serve as my sort of entry into the summit log here. Oh, I didn't even look to see how long this took. I've been up here for 34 minutes. I got up here probably 15 minutes ago. So 20 minutes from the bottom of the rock, that sandy flat area, up to here. Super cool, super fun. Great little adventure. Also, I've noticed up here that there are some rock climbing anchors, or at least the bolts. Looks like the hangers are no longer there, but we have a couple of nice new modern bolts, and then an older rusty 1/4 inch bolt there also. So apparently there are some established climbs on this thing, rock climbs, which doesn't surprise me. Looks very rock climby down there. I'm not going to film me down climbing because I want to just focus on getting down safely, but if you see this video, assume that, you know, I didn't die on the way down. And so from here, I'm going to walk back to the trailhead. I'm going to go a slightly different route. So I came from kind of over here, but there's another trail that's like down over here more that'll create a semi-loop to go back to the parking area. So it'll let me cover some new ground. So I think I'm going to do that, even though I think it is a little bit longer. So I will show you some of that that hiking footage, just like probably time-lapse footage of me hiking through the forest. And then we'll do some more time-lapse footage of me driving down the mountain. Lots of twists and turns getting to the trailhead. I think that would be an awesome little motorcycle road if you're into that sort of thing. Or, you know, if you have a little Mazda Miata or something like that, you like driving mountain roads. I don't know why Miata was the first thing that came to mind, but it was. Then that's a great road. And then I think we have enough time. Let's see. Yeah, it's only 11 o'clock right now. I think we have enough time for me to go do some more fun things in more of the Boise city center proper. Well, actually, I don't know if it's going to be in city center, like downtown, but like in the city over there somewhere. So let's go. Let's get off this thing. All right, guys, I am in Boise. I'm in town. We're gonna go for a little adventure, another kind of adventure after we cross the street here. Gonna walk through this park and I'm going to ride an electric scooter along the green belt in town. So Boise has 25 miles of bike path and walking path that are along the river here. The Boise River is just right here, flows through town. And I'm gonna rent a scooter and ride along the river, and we're gonna talk about, I think we're gonna talk about Boise versus Salt Lake versus Denver as we scoot. And here is our scooter, and here is a food truck park. I'm gonna get some food from a food truck on the way back, but first, let's get this going. Yeah, like I can just start riding. Okay, I'm gonna put the GoPro on my head. All right, push off and do the throttle. And away we go. Let me stop and adjust. Oh, I can see the river right here. Let me adjust the GoPro a little bit. Okay. This is nice. This is living. So, as far as population goes, Boise is like 750,000, and this is the metro area that I'm talking about, the metropolitan area. So not just the town itself, not just the city itself, but the other cities and towns that are next to it. So Boise is 750,000, Salt Lake is 1.2 million, and Denver is about 3 million. And I'm choosing these three cities because these are basically the only three major cities in the upper mountain states. So not including Arizona, not including New Mexico, but Colorado, Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana. Wyoming and Montana don't really have big cities. And with size, of course, comes the economy. And so the economies of the three cities are correlated with their populations. Denver has the biggest, so the most jobs, and then Salt Lake, and then Boise. And by the way, I don't know how long I'm gonna ride the scooter for, so just bear with me as I talk and, you know, enjoy some pretty footage along the river here. And I don't want to be riding for too long because this, I forget exactly how much the scooter costs. It's like $1 to start and then 39 cents a minute. So now let's talk about the weather between the three cities. Boise has the best weather if you don't like cold. Boise is the lowest, it's like 2,700 feet in elevation. And then Salt Lake is the next. It's, you know, it's colder than here, gets more snow than here. It's at about 4,500. And then Denver, of course, famously, mile high city, 5,280 feet roughly. Denver is the coldest of the three places. Boise is the warmest. That's why Boise has been attractive as a place to live. Boise has experienced a lot of growth in the last handful of years, you know, during and after COVID. Housing prices here just skyrocketed. It's one of the hottest housing markets in the country because people moving from California, among other places, didn't want to move to a place like, you know, Montana or Wyoming, even though a lot of people did move to those places. Not as much as Boise. Salt Lake definitely has winters, but they're not, to me, after having lived in Idaho and Wyoming for the last several years, Salt Lake winters aren't that bad. But if you haven't experienced a real winter before, then a Salt Lake winter will be a shock to you. And Denver winters are more severe than Salt Lake winters. So now let's talk about the outdoor activities as we pass by this really pretty little pond here. All three places are known as cities with good outdoor recreation. Let's start with Boise because that's where we are right now, and we're passing the Whitewater Park right here on the Boise River in town. You can, if you want, go kayaking. Let's see, I'm trying to figure out where to go. Let's take this bridge. We're gonna do a little loop, gonna cross over to the other side of the river. Boise has more water activities, and so as we are on the bridge here, I'll give you a good look at the Boise River. Beautiful. This right here is the Whitewater Park. And I think people might also surf that wave that's right there. I can see some people, I think they have surfboards or bodyboards or something. No, those are surfboards. It's pretty far away, so you guys won't be able to see that very well. But there's a man-made wave right there, and people are surfing on the wave. Pretty cool. All right. There's a lot to do in town. You can fish in Boise. There are trout in the Boise River. I'm going to adjust the GoPro a little bit here. Man, wouldn't that be a cool place to live? That these condos right on the river. It's pretty neat. So Boise has the Greenbelt, which is really nice. Boise is a very bike-friendly city. It's known for a lot of bike paths and bike trails. There's the wave right there. Let's stop. I'll show you guys the wave. That is neat. There's a guy getting ready to go surfing right there. So you can surf in Boise. You can't in Salt Lake, and I'm pretty sure you can't in Denver. That is so cool. I'll take a video with my phone so I can zoom in a little bit more. And as far as mountains go, Boise is kind of in the foothills. You have to drive a little bit to get to the real mountains, and even where I was hiking earlier, you know, that's mountains, but it's not like the most rugged mountains in the world. Idaho does have some super rugged mountains. You know, the Sawtooths aren't too far away, a couple hours, maybe 2 or 3 hours. But the mountains around here aren't especially high or especially rugged. Salt Lake does have rugged mountains, and they go up to about 11,000 feet. Just under 12,000 feet is the highest mountain in the Wasatch Range that goes along Salt Lake. And this is so pretty. This is so nice. I've never been, I've been to Boise several times before. I used to live in eastern Idaho for 4 years, and so I've been through here several times, but I've never been on the Greenbelt. This is beautiful. Anyway, Salt Lake has access to, very short access to skiing, to rock climbing. You can fish the little creeks in the mountains. Lots of good mountain activities. I think that if you're into water activities, this is a better place to live because it does have the big river here coming through town. Nice little creek right there. Idaho is definitely more of a water state if you like rafting and paddling and that sort of thing, kayaking. But in general, in Salt Lake, you're closer to the mountains than here. And then Denver, I think that Salt Lake is what a lot of people think Denver is. People who haven't been to Denver think that Denver is in the mountains. It's not really. Salt Lake, out of all three of these cities, Salt Lake is the most in the mountains. It's the closest to the mountains. Denver is like on the plains, within easy reach of the mountains, but Denver itself is fairly flat. And so you have to go a little ways to get to the mountains. And so, in Denver itself, of course, there is the river that flows through there, and there are bike paths. I think it's a fairly bike-friendly city, but I'm not sure. I'm least familiar with Denver out of these three cities. So let me know if I get something wrong. Feel free to correct me in the comments, and leave your opinions in the comments too, as far as comparisons between these three cities go. But obviously with Denver, you've got skiing. You drive west, and you're in the mountains. You're in the Colorado Rockies. You're not too far from all that has to offer. And as far as being within 2 or 3 hours of things, in Denver you can really only go west to experience the kinds of things that I like. Like, you go east from Denver and you're on the Great Plains, because Denver is on the edge of the Great Plains. Whereas Salt Lake and Boise, you go in an hour or 2 or 3 in any direction, and there's a lot of interesting stuff to see and do. And so from Denver, you do have to drive up into the mountains to get to the mountains, but once you're there, you have, world-class skiing, mountain biking. It's just not in Denver. You have to leave Denver to get to that stuff. And so, what are my thoughts on the three cities? So I haven't spent a ton of time in Denver, but Denver is just a city. It's a big city on the edge of the mountains. I would choose to live in Denver last out of those three. If you need a hot job market, then by all means go to Denver. And I don't dislike Denver, but out of these three that we're comparing, it's at the bottom of my list. Salt Lake is probably, as far as places that I would live in right now, Salt Lake is probably second. I don't really like it there anymore. I lived in Salt Lake City for a year, and I've spent 10 years total living in northern Utah. I lived in Salt Lake, I lived in Ogden, and I lived in Provo. I've spent a lot of time there, and I'm just tired of it. And I go there all the time. I'm just tired of it. But if I had never lived in any three cities, I would probably live in the general Salt Lake area, because the access to the mountains is just so good and it's so beautiful. You've got Moab, 3 hours away, 4 hours away. So you've got your mountain and your desert, and it's a great place if you're the kind of person who wants to go skiing or hiking in the morning or before or after work, and then work the rest of the day. Salt Lake is great for that, and so is Boise. Boise has great access to a lot of great outdoor stuff. Right now, at this point in my life, I would live in Boise if I were to choose between the three. I do like Boise. I don't particularly want to live here right now. The older I get, the less interested I am in living in bigger cities, and I'm more interested in living in smaller cities. Okay. Should I take that bridge back across the river? So cool. Beautiful river. But to be honest, if I had to live in any of the three, I'd be fine living there. I'd be fine living in Denver. I'd be fine living in Salt Lake. I'd be fine living in Boise. It just depends on what you're interested in. They're both, all three are good places to live, good quality of life, although they are increasingly expensive. And I'm talking primarily about the cities themselves. There are, suburbs and other general cities in the area that have different pros and cons, but I'm talking about the cities themselves, not the outlying cities. Okay, and we are back to where we started. Let's get some food from a food truck. Okay, so as far as the food trucks go, we have like a beer truck right there. This is ice cream and desserts. This one is barbecue. This one looks like Nepalese food, I think, or Asian food. And then this one is it's like Hawaiian food. And here's what I ended up getting. This is barbecue mac and cheese, and it looks and smells delicious. I got it from the barbecue food truck right there. I'm gonna enjoy this and then drive a few hours. I'll see you guys at camp. And it is now a few hours later, and I have found a campsite, a beautiful spot right next to the creek. We'll go down and check out the beautiful little creek down there in a minute. But extra points to you if this spot looks familiar, because I actually have stayed here before. This would have been about 3-ish years ago, maybe 4. It was the either first or second night that we had camped in the Yukon, in the GMC Yukon that I got from Sub Overland. We came straight to this area and camped at this spot. It is less flat than I remember it being. There's not one flat square inch at this campsite. It's sloping down this way. I don't know if you can tell, but this is the least slopey area, so this is where we've parked for the night. So let's go check out the creek. The little path to go down to the creek starts on just the other side of the car, right here. And check this out. We have this really nice, pretty big, flat, sandy area down here where you could set up a tent or two. You could set up a bunch of camp chairs or a picnic table, and look at this beautiful water down here. This water is so pretty. It's very clear, but it has if this will focus, but it has a green tinge to it. I haven't seen any fish in here, but I mean, there have to be fish. Beautiful big boulders that have tumbled down into the bottom of the canyon from the cliffs above that you probably can't really see, but they're up there. Very rugged canyon, very rugged place. And again, just look at that beautiful water. And there are a few things I want to talk about and mention to you guys before we wrap up here. The first is that I didn't tell you the scooter stats. So I rode for 2.9 miles over about 19 minutes, and it cost me $9 to rent the scooter and to do that little loop along the river. Totally worth it. That was a lot of fun. Also, I haven't mentioned the barbecue or how the barbecue was. The barbecue itself was great. The macaroni and cheese was a little bit tasteless, I thought. Could have used some red pepper flakes or even some salt and pepper, but overall I enjoyed it. It's always a good day when you have some barbecue. What else? There were fires on the way here. I mentioned that earlier when we were on top of Stack Rock, that there are fires in central Idaho, and I passed by some of them that were kind of smoldering on the mountainside as I was driving up here. So it did rain a lot yesterday. I looked up the news for the area for McCall. So I'm located like half an hour from McCall, if you know where that is. It's like a resort town. It's a nice little town on the lake. I looked at the news for McCall and saw that the rain yesterday had weakened, had kind of doused a lot of the fires in this area. So that's great. And so there was comparatively little smoke, but I did take a quick shot with my phone as I was driving of the kind of smoldering, smoking mountainside. So I'll include some of that footage here so you can see that and see where the fire was. As I was hiking this morning to Stack Rock, and as I was climbing the rock, and then as I was scooting around alongside the river, I thought, you know, this is why people like Boise. This is why people move to Boise. It's a place where you can have a really nice work-life balance, I think. You can have a good quality of life there. You can get up before your job, get a nice hike in, get a nice mountain bike ride in, go rock climbing, go fishing, same thing after work. And I know there are gonna be people who watch this video and are gonna get mad at me and say, we're full, stay away. We don't want anyone else moving here. And I understand that, I get where they're coming from, especially when it comes to Boise, because the price of housing has skyrocketed so much in the last 4 or 5 years. But it's a free country, and people are gonna move where they want to move to. They're gonna move to places that reflect who they are or who they want to be, the kind of life they want to have. And if you're the kind of person who wants to have a nice outdoorsy life with a lot of amenities still, then I think you could definitely do worse than Boise. I think it's a great city. It's fun to visit for me every time I pass through. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed seeing some of the things to see and do around there. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your favorite part was. Let me know if you have any questions. And I'll see you in the next one. Be sure to check out Adventure Know-How, my new site, where you can gain access to a map of all of my free campsites, plus monthly bonus videos that you won't find anywhere else. Learn more at adventureknowhow.com. And for links to everything else SUV RVing related, visit suvrving.com. Links to these sites and more will be in the video description.